Okay, so in this video, this is the next set of mice that I'm just trying to catch, and at the moment, I still have the 5-second delay. So you're probably wondering, why didn't I just? Well, looking at the video now, you could be wondering, why don't I just drop the trap onto it? And that's basically because, as you'll notice, it's there. So eating the bait at the moment. But what you'll find is that sometimes, see, it will just quickly run away and go off somewhere else. Because as you can see, this mice is a little bit cautious. So it was there for quite a while eating the food, but if I dropped it too late, then of course it would have happened when it had turned around. So admittedly, with this particular one, I was a little bit fortunate in that the time when it came now, and it's going to drop it any second now, capturing. And so there you have it. See, I dropped it. So that time I was a little bit fortunate in that I saw it eating there, so decided to go for it. And even with the 5-second delay, and lucky enough, it didn't actually turn during that 5 seconds, which could have been a problem, because essentially, if you look at the way the trap is set up, the reason why the toilet roll is in that position is to make the mouse actually go to the center of the trap, and also to make it not be too far sideways, because obviously to actually get at the bait inside the toilet roll, it has to actually turn like towards it, which means that it's facing away from its exit out of the trap, basically. And if you watch this one actually quite closely and do step it through it frame by frame, what you'll actually notice is that the mouse actually started to move as the trap was going down, and it tried to go to the side, but it obviously noticed that the side was already too low, so that's when it tried to go to the front, but by then it was way too late. And you can see the way the mouse is moving around, but what you'll notice is that, it freezes there, and there's a reason. It's because it saw me coming, so now it's going to move really fast. So you'll note, the mouse is really zipping around now because it can actually see me coming. And so basically that was the end of that one. So now here comes the next mouse, and what you'll actually notice about this particular mouse is that this one is like super cautious. And it's found the bait, it's eating it, but if you watch, it's looking around, and now it's gone to the side. So unlike the first mouse, you notice how the first one would stay with the bait for longer, whereas this one just eats it for a bit, and then just goes off, and then comes back, and it's having a quick look around the back, quick check. So, and the thing about this particular mice is that these mice are actually still very young, because I think they were actually born in the house. And considering how young they are, and you look how cautious they are, you'd wonder, where did they learn all of this caution from? Because obviously they can't be taught it by the sort of mother mouse, because I think that mouse actually died a little bit before, if I remember. So these mice, for some reason, they're born and seem to naturally know how to be cautious, and they also know not to just stay by this mouse, as you can see, is more cautious than the previous one. So that's the other thing I've noticed, is that the mice, they actually have different personalities. And I don't know if I've ever seen anyone talking about anything like this before, about, mice having personalities. But one thing I've learned about this, with this experience of having to deal with them, is that they definitely do. Because see how this mouse is way more cautious. See, now even though the bait is there, it hasn't seen any predators, but regardless of that, it's still going around to check the back of the, just in case some invisible predator is there. So now he's back again, but still looking around and playing it safe. So you'd think that, okay, now he's going to be convinced and actually stay eating the, but no, see. Still, he just doesn't trust the situation. So even though nothing's happened, he hasn't heard anything, but regardless of that, it still wants to go out and just double check. Because you saw how the previous mouse just did one check, and then went back and was just gobbling up the bait. Okay, so now finally, the mouse has decided that everything is safe enough, and after all that checking, now it finally decides to go into the big, and so all of that caution essentially didn't pay off. Why? Because the one thing I've noticed about these mice is that they simply don't seem to have any clue about this trap, or this type of trap. So essentially, what seems to be happening is that the mice, they know about predators, so if something moves, the mice is going to run. If it hears a sound, the mouse is going to run. But the idea of a trap being above its head, as far as I can see, mice have no clue about that, and they really do not, it's not really a case of understand, but considering how small the brain is on a mouse, it's hardly surprising he can't work something like this out. But anyway, so now we're just going to go over to, what this is just a quick demonstration of the system that I had set up. And what essentially is happening here is that the display on the left is, that's actually what I'm receiving from the sensor. Because what I'll do is I'll do another video maybe later showing the setup of how I had things running. And so what I was trying to do here is I had like a sensor underneath the toilet roll, which is like a capacitance sensor, to actually see if the reading would change when the mouse was inside the roll. But as you can see, if you actually watch the numbers, the numbers are a bit ambiguous. So, but this is just to show that I managed to get something working where I could get like a telemetry from the actual trap. And as you can see, it's frozen. This is the 5-second delay that you get, where it freezes and then drops down and catches the mouse. Alright, so now, what this is the actual mice in the sort of dustbin, or base that I actually drop them into. And this is the part where you can really see the difference in the personalities of mice, because you notice the one, well, I call them go-getter mouse, because that's the name for some reason that I just thought of, because it's as if the mouse that is more active, it's like it's ready to just like fight anyone. And it's also as if it doesn't even care if it dies in the fight, it just wants to fight basically. And you can see, notice that even as it's moving, it's the action mouse, it's the one that's actually trying to do something, whereas the other mouse is just sitting there doing nothing. And the way that they're behaving sort of reminds me of even some people as well, because it's the way that the one that I call depressed mouse, you can see the way it just sits there and barely moves, whereas the go-getter mouse, it actually is looking for any avenue to escape, even though the odds are impossible. That mouse doesn't care basically. But as you can see, the depressed mouse, it's pretty much given up, almost as if it's chosen the right thing to do, simply because there's no hope. And that's what you even find with people who get depressed, is that they feel that if there's no hope, the best thing to do is immediately give up and just say that all hope is lost. But now here's the interesting thing is that you notice how even though the action mouse was the go-getter mouse was trying to get out, he still has no problem, or it still has no problem, sort of being friends with the other mouse, and has no problem cuddling up with it. Alright, so now this next scene is the next morning. As you can see, I tried putting a bit of food down there, but I think they might have eaten some of it, but, well, they probably did, because you can see all the droppings there. And usually, when mice are sort of guzzling food, they leave a lot of droppings down. But as you can see, that next morning the personalities haven't changed, so you can tell which mouse is the depressed one. Because even as the dustbin's moving, and actually the reason it looks so wild is because it's the camera, not the actual bin itself. So the stabilization is just got, it's a bit nuts. Alright, so here's now finally when I did the release, and I turned the camera on a bit late. So what's happened is that the first mouse, when I dropped the bin down, the first mouse had already gone before I could turn on the camera. So I lifted the bin up, looked in, and guess what? Good old depressed mouse hadn't moved. Now that's just typical. That's what you typically find with a person who's depressed, is that even when chance to escape comes, they'll sit there and just mope, and, just moan or sit and do nothing, and that's exactly what this mice did. There is the escape is there, its freedom is just there, right in front of them. The other mouse disappeared before I could even finally it's gone. So and you notice what I was doing, I had to literally kick the bin to make it go out. Okay, so that's the end of that particular sort of mouse capture sort of video. And basically, this is one of the things about when you're trying to do traps, is you have to also compensate for the fact that mice have different personalities. So if your trap, there's something about it which is too intimidating, then you'll actually find there'll be some mice who will be actually put off by the trap. But one thing that I seem to have found out so far, especially with this custom trap that I've made, is that it doesn't matter what the personality of the mouse is. It's simply, as long as the bait is on the ground, and there's nothing impeding, or nothing that stops the mouse from easily getting to the bait, they'll go to it regardless of the personality. Alright, so that's the next 2 mice caught. So the next video will just be, next videos will actually be a little bit shorter, because as you'll see anyway, things will have improved then. But I thought I might as well show these ones just to show what I had to go through in order to work out how to improve the trap as I went along. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye. And I'd also like to acknowledge my God as being the one who's given me the skill to be able to configure and set up these traps so that they can be used successfully.